I'm going to get a better view of the Saab Sonnet, the ultra rare one. That's a Mitsubishi Galant. Well, we've just got to wait for. Here we are.
Not only the small massive car, but it's the sporty number as well, the full seated. Now we looked at that one, 1990 version on a Hayes race, and that's followed by the member of the Roots Group, the Hillman Hunter Estate. You don't find many of them on the rally field, and of course when you look at that vehicle, it's got all the imperfections.
Yeah, this is. I tried to have a look at this one earlier. It's a Saab Sonnet. This is the V4 version, which I didn't know existed. This is Series 3. Another Saab. Is that a 99? Yes, it's a 99. Thought it was. 900.
Can I just stop you there? Can I stop you there? I want to demonstrate something. Now the Morris 1000 was never this wide. It was never this wide. And that is because they put in a 4-inch strip down the middle there. And you can see that the 4-inch strip was put into the bonnet to make that a much wider car. So as it advanced in age, it ended up being a much wider vehicle. So the 100 miles you could get a two-door, you could get a convertible.
Oh, 9.3. How wrong was I?
Now, it was a very reliable product, and it goes back to the BMC days.
There's a Tigra.
Because the British Labour Corporation did not come into being until 1972. Carry on, my friend. Now, when we talk of cars that become the future cars, we talk of things like this. So I think it's the Mitsubishi Galant, if I'm right, and of course it's dated from around about 2001. So it's a 24-year-old vehicle.
This actually reminds me of traffic jams in Ashford.
You would see Mitsubishi Galant on the rally field actually being displayed.
You're trying to get somewhere, but you just end up stuck. That's a ZTT. Oh, okay. Oh, that's nice. We've been more about Saab than aeroplanes, because they were into aeroplanes. I will come and see you, my friend. You can do all the chats with me at the moment, but it's got some features as the headlight goes down into the bonnet. Very much about the style of Saab work. There's a Cadillac.
And the same with the Saab, I don't know whether it's the 99 or I don't know. We will find out in a moment. But again, a very reliable vehicle. Some of these items in the Saab went on to go up into the 300. They are ultra reliable. But like I say, they built aircraft as well, so their engineering skills were very, very good. That was dated 1981. Now, this one's got a personalised number plate. I don't recall that this would actually be a 1990. It's got a personal plate on it. What they call a selected number plate. And of course, that's a lovely example of a convertible. But the 900 Turbo S, 16-valve engine in there, a very stylish vehicle.
There's a 300 ZX. I had a chat with the owner earlier. Really nice car.
It was all about being someone different, and they are.
Got BBS alloys on it. I didn't notice that earlier. Oh, that is a really cool car. You could probably tune the nuts off these as well. A lot of Japanese engines you can tune them a lot in a big way, but you have to know what you're doing.
Because that was my very first car in 1976 when I was a little 17-year-old, and that's what I had back when we go. But what we got there? Coming about the Saab, sir. Coming about the Saab. I've even got a bottle of Tigra over there. You don't see many of them on the rally field when we think about the
I don't think I've seen a Vauxhall Tigra in many years.
There is a very good example there, the Vauxhall Tigra. And of course, when we bought Vauxhall Tigra, you've got to think, well, hang on, it's got that old 2007. What else is in that camper? Well, it's a good one to say. It's a 6 and a Saxon. They're in that category. There are vehicles that are now appearing on the rally field that are 25 years old, and they're in this category. Now, do the form 3 or 4 years ago, would you be seeing stuff like this?
I think 2007 is actually 18 years.
And this is where the where the preservation movement needs to be going, because a lot of big cities are being featured in their zones. And of course, it's great to bring youngsters in, get them involved in the shows, because at one point, I should want to hang my hat up, and they want to take over my job. And, you know, we need people to come on board, get the youngsters involved in preservation of everything else. Anyway, now, coming in, the rover, the James Horner, from that old sort of British state of motor corporation empire, and all the knock-on things that happen after that. So, you know, if you look at the quality of that, we're going to thank you, my friend. Now, Ford Escort, when that came into being in 1967, as an F-Red, they offered the Escort as a very nice little family car. They had 2-door, 4-door, you could buy the Mark 1-man version as well. This month that, they made a name for themselves with the sport version, and they come out with the Mexico, the RS2, the upper 2000. And of course the Escort was then a legend. And you know, they sold in some incredible numbers. So again, we'll walk through the lineup to capture a select group this afternoon. First time on the rally field today, I've seen the Ford. Now of course Ford, they're not the rear engine, and a nice little sporty number indeed. And it can't be any other colour than red, because it's so stupid it doesn't red colour on the Ford. And look at the features again, we've got those folding headlamps that go into the front of the body. Right, we've got the Chevrolet, I think it is. Cadillac, so I know the gap in the speed. Right, now this vehicle again, we've got a younger vehicle in what is quite enjoyed, and it's kitted out in the opposite lovely vehicle. So again, we're going to come back to country, my friend. Now when we mentioned the humble small mountain, and I mentioned the scripted middle that made the car always wider. And it was a absolute essential, because not only was it 2-door, 4-door cabriolet, but there you go, a lovely space version. Now these are very popular with everybody from the vicar to the farmer's point, because it's like a sort of station wagon, you could call it. And but certainly, as proven here, you get a lot of goods into the back. But more importantly, they were wholly reliable. You could almost get the parts back in the day in Auburn, but there's still switching on any of the British road corporation vehicles back in the day. Now, when you look at that vehicle, they were sold in their video. If you had the money and wanted to build a new model design of 1000, you could buy every single part for it for this day, including the body shell, and a brand new one would set you back some £40,000. Anyway, I don't know nothing about this. I'm going to come back to you on that, because this is very different, and you've got me now, you've caught me out. I normally a walk in encyclopedia of this town, but I was going to say it's got to be a different Warhammer, and there it is.
It's a Nissan 300ZX. I saw it earlier.
When I started with motoring,
Do you not know?
and of course, when you look at this vehicle from the early 60s, you even get a starter button down in between the seats, don't you? That's crazy, isn't it? And on the floor, you get a little brown dog. Now, if you asked anyone what that dog was, they would know. They would say, oh, I have a dog too. But for the older rider who had exactly that, it was distinguished with 4 main headlights and a headlamp. So the Mini has come a long way, because when this first was introduced in 1959, it was only £500, and it came from the British Motor Corporation. As I said, there was Austin, Morris, Riding, Walkley, Gangler, Rover, all in that empire. But then by the time this one was produced, which is 1982 if I remember rightly, 1982, look at the style change.
fact that the vehicles were they suited America to a T. And a very interesting vehicle, all the same, because not only did you get a nice power plant there, but you've also got boost capability. Now, if you were a company director, cash the car, you'd have bought one now. And if you saw that in the morning, in the car park, you need a box of this. So you must be safe, that's it. But anyway, I cannot go over there to the speaker. I might get a big one. But, what's that up there? What's going to be a plate? Anyway, there's some vehicles on this weekend here, and that is this lovely green tree. I can't get too close to the speaker. I might want you to move up the other end of the one, but I'm right on the line. Anyway, this is lovely. Now, vehicle-wise, I'll come over to see you. I hope I don't get sick much and blow my ears off. And from what stage does this vehicle come from? It's four-seater, 1976, so it's 49 years old. Now, of course, Welcome made their name for three-wheelers, didn't they? They're all hand-built vehicles as well. And of course, when we talk hand-built vehicles, we're not talking just a motor engineer in a smart assembly line, we're talking coach building skills, we're talking the guys who make the great work, carpenters, we're talking of vehicle engineers. It was a multi-skilled job building a car from scratch, because it weren't the major assembly line. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And the workers that went into this car is exactly the same as they do today. This one was a restoration of 14 years. It's been made up for 20 years. Very strong with it after 20 years too. And yeah, I've also got 3 wheelers as well, so I'm fully into the car. Very, very nice indeed. Of course, if you get a chance to have a look at the power plant under here, what's it got under on it? So it's a Ford Crossflow, so all of the Ford enthusiasts around here will have that. Very nice, fantastic, lovely. But anyway, we're talking custom, we're talking built by hand. And then we get this vehicle, British Lane and Motor Corporation, probably one of the best cars that they've ever made. But look at the condition of it. That you can't call it a red, you can't call it a maroon. What's its official colour? That's grey. That's the official colour of the car. It is lovely, isn't it? Have you done any work before to it, my friend? Yes, we've had new chrome bumpers and that. Have a big spray, and well done, obviously. But the other thing that they do now for MG is a captain comes about nine to go under the wing. Getting onto that crossover. And of course there were MGs that had the plastic bumpers all round, wasn't there? And they were specifically aimed for American marketplace. Beautiful vehicle. If you look inside the bonnet here, it's an engine that you can actually get to both sides. It's not like a modern vehicle where you've got to dismantle half of the car to be able to get in at the engine.
That's
and
true.
when we talk engines of this era, we're talking about things like top dead centre, which for those mechanical people out there means that if you get the timing right, the point set right and the float right, there's no reason why you shouldn't drive. Anyway, look at this 1975 Ford at its best. Sorry? 74, so you're a little bit early. Yeah, there we go. We're a little few months out, aren't we? Anyway, Ford come up with a little quirky idea. It's not the first time, but it carries the Ford Capri name, because there was the Ford Capri in 1960, which was almost based on the 14 and 47. This is now built in 1974, that no one wanted it. He did that for 75, and then when someone bought it, it took 20 years. So old, in a garage for 30 years, and that's why it's only got 21,184 miles from new, and it's never been well. And I'll tell you what, it's not even running. So, unfortunately, it's going to tell you we don't have drive, we've got our drive. But I don't think it's going to be more comfortable than the other car we've got. So, and it carries the vinyl roof. And of course, if you had a car back in the 60s and 70s, vinyl roofs were all the rage, they really were. Now, MG, Morris garages, where do I start with them? Because bit how well laid out that energy is. Anyway, I'm not going to ignore the little Citroen over there, so I'm going to come over to you, and I'll come back to the lineup because we've got a little bit of time to play. We've got to 4:45 today. Anyway, the little Citroen 2CV6, it was designed as the parts to be able to put the eggs on the back seat. You could go across a ploughed field, and you wouldn't, according to their logic, break the eggs. But this vehicle has got a full removable sunroof, and the chairs actually don't fit inside. They're just like deck chairs, aren't they?
Well, I had it nice week, actually.
What do you think of it?
Nice. I felt especially vehicle. Yeah, great.
And of course, it's quirky, it is somewhat different, and it's lovely to see them on the rally. You can tell it's quirky. Just look at the little sort of 8-inch, 9-inch wiper plates on there. It is a lovely little vehicle. Well, thanks for bringing it in. I've left you out, but yeah, just look at the style that they put into it, and every part of it actually unbolts. It all comes off, doesn't it? It's like a big boys with Carlin set, one of these. Anyway, were you going to say something, madam? Right, I caught you out. Right, there we go. Anyway, back to the lineup, and we got these Renault 5. The fast person was always the Gordino, and of course Renault 5 made their impact on the rally scene. When you think of things like the Lombard Rally back in the days, the Renault 5 was there at the top of the tree with the sport version. Now tell me, not many of these have survived, young man. Where did you find them?
Well, we were in Scotland. They're fun. They're usually fun to do around the town. And then go to one of those, one way to go, get on the
It's interesting because when I say not many survived, I'm one of these who goes and checks all the numbers. I do the number crunching so that I can learn from anything that people tell me. And people tell me an awful lot, they really do. I learn something new every time. Anyway, Hillman, part of the Roots group, and when they designed the family car, this was it. It was also a very popular taxi vehicle, whether it's in 4-door or estate form. But when you just look at it from the back here, it is just so 1970. It really is. It is basic, but a reliable car. And I think most of them had a 1725 engine or somewhere around about that. And this one you've got in its working clothes. You're going to leave it like this?
I'm still undecided as to whether I'm going to repaint it or leave it as the Pinger look. Because there's not many examples of them left. So it's whether you want to put it back where it would have been or whether just leave it as that.
It's an interesting vehicle whether you look at it from both ways. But just look at some of the things that we did back in the 60s and 70s. Use of mirrors and that on the wings. It all sort of came to a sad end, and you weren't allowed to have the mirrors on the bonnets and stuff. We mentioned this vehicle, we had a quick sort of stop and a play with the 4-inch strip down the middle, which made that car wider. But when you go back to 1967, 68, when this vehicle was new, you get to see the use of the AA members badge. And when you see that badge on there, if this gentleman rode down at the roadside and the AA come out, they would actually come out and stand and salute you. And the only time they wouldn't salute you is when there was a speed trap round the corner, which is quite interesting. Now, if you wonder why the EAA wear brown uniforms today, it was because there was lots of army surplus after World War II. And likewise, why did the RAC wear blue uniforms? There was lots of RAF surplus left after the war. But indeed, one of our classic vehicles, a very, very nice vehicle indeed. We mentioned some of the future classics. We had a chat yesterday, my friend. The Mitsubishi Galant, we don't see anywhere else on the running field. I've not seen one anywhere. And of course, you have to think what is going to be the future vehicles that people buy. And here they are. We're starting to see the Saabs turn up. We're starting to see the Volvos turn up. Sort of 5 years ago, me out there commentating, we wouldn't have seen it. It's almost unheard of. Anyway, I come to this new one. Now, you're going to have to help me out here, because it is a Saab. It is very, very different. I know nothing about it. It's like me.
So this was primarily based in the US market. They are very rare in the UK and Europe. It's like a couple of questions we've got to get kicked off. So it's not now the factory. So it's about 8,000, I think, for 970.
very nice indeed. Well, thanks for a brief insight into something very, very different. But then, if you look what we've got here now, the Saab 99, ultra reliable, a lot of them go up into the 300,000 and beyond. I think I've once read that one got sort of near 500,000 on the clock and we're still doing everyday use. What vehicle is this from? You know, they were an interesting vehicle, a nice little family car as such, because they were not only reliable, they were a very comfortable vehicle, and came from a good pedigree, because Saab were renowned for building aircraft. So a lot of their technology in their styling department went into developing the 99, and what was the one before the 99? And of course you had the sort of quirky shape of the little hatchback one as well. Lovely vehicle. Select number plate I take it on this one, is that right? Yes, select number plate. So what age is this vehicle? You don't have to talk to me, just give me the age. No idea. Alright. What year? 1990. And did that come out of the works with that number on? You shocked me. I've learned something new again. But anyway, OD is Devon. The number plate, OD was Devon. So I don't know if you want to research where it was first registered, where it came from, and how it got Devon number plate. But there's a little paper exercise for you tonight. Brilliant. Anyway, look at this. This is for sale. We don't see many of these on the rally field, ladies and gentlemen. You really don't. And the Volvo 360 GLT, again, if you'd have asked me 5 years ago, and I commentated lots of shows, if you'd have asked me whether I've ever seen a Volvo on a rally field, I've seen the old ones, the old Amazon, and the likes of that, the ST, you know, the 1800, but the same as in this programme, but not the modern Volvo. Well, I've got to have a word with you because it is such a rarity. It looks what it is. It looks Volvo. It looks comfortable. It looks well kitted out. Is it really?
Yes, it is. It was designed by Volvo for 37 miles. I think it's everything. For planes to sail across Europe at 100 miles an hour and take off, you know. And
it's very nice. So you're going to leave it as it is? You don't know where it requires?
no, mechanically it's, I won't say perfect, it's done 100%, but bodywork is original, so whatever is done there, the bodywork is done.
And here you are, we're on the summit. So there we go. We got a for sale sign there, ladies and gentlemen, and that's a good way of getting into a vehicle. Buy yourself a vintage vehicle. We're back to Saabs again. We've got two of them, two very different ones. The first of the more modern era. And welcome to the Festival of Transport. Have you had a good time with us?
Lovely day, thank you.
Now you guys all members of the Saab Club, are you? Because you're all together, aren't you?
Here we go. Yeah.
So tell me about the history of your Saab, because it's a make I don't know that much about. I just sort of scratch my head and say I don't know everything about a Saab.
It's been a 1998 Saab 1000. It was pretty survey. Yeah, they're built up about half an hour until
I tell you what, I cannot get over how the cockpit actually looks like an aeroplane.
how much space is on the same place is like incredibly comfortable.
Very, very nice indeed. The Saab 9000. Anyway, we're nearly at the end of the lineup. You may say, thank goodness. Anyway, my friend, got the state version. They built for everybody, didn't they? 2-door, 4-door, state. They come out with some classics.
Yeah, this particular one is an anniversary like the 9000. So this one was produced for 60 years of the Saab turbocharging. This particular one is one of the right-hand side manual turbo engines. They made one of the few that have got front-wheel drive. And they're making 6,000 of them in 2008 globally. 500 tanks in the UK, so 6 people manual wagon.
And of course, that four-wheel drive, snow-ridden countries at times, and there in Sweden, four-wheel drive are very, very useful. And this, you look like this has been accident rebuilt or something. Have you changed the chassis on it?
So the chassis comes from over 4 and the flash car has been able to engine and motor mechanical parts to the also to carbon depth flash car have been patched together and made it
including the XTT. Released in 2001 to the public, and what an estate car, because you can almost imagine it's took in a jag. It's got comforts in there, it's got a lovely power plant under there, and it's a very, very beautiful vehicle. Now, I take it the gentleman don't want to talk to me, can you hand me a bit of paper? But it's fine, it's an absolutely lovely vehicle, nice and short on the riding field, dates in 2001. Now, I hope I've not missed anyone. Have I missed anyone? The Porsche, haven't I? Did I speak to the Porsche back? No, I did not. Right, I'm coming down. I'll go and do the distance, and then we are now. I've covered everywhere. Anyway, the Porsche made a name for itself. Rear-wheel drive, any colour, bar red. Well, as long as it's in red, it looks the business. Yeah, this is my daily drive. That's 8,000 miles last year again. What's a rear engine vehicle like this, front engine side, what's it like at speed? Because, you know, it's got a character to it, but it's meant to be a really fast car. Is it good at speed?
It's 49.51 weight. Almost perfect. It's gearbox, translated, ready to rear. It's the most different car I've ever driven. I've driven rear-wheel drive cars when the back goes down, and front-wheel drive them,
very, very stylish inside again. Have a look inside the vehicle. Right, that's one. Here we come. Anyway, the Nissan, when we look at this vehicle, I had to put my hand on heart and say, I know nothing about it. Anyway, Nissan is one of those Japanese companies that came over here back in the 1970s with the Datsun cars and eventually changed their name to Nissan. Anyway, this is rather different. It's up there with the likes of the MX-5 and some of the others. So you're starting to see some of these future classics.